I want to talk about victim mentality because I find quite often that a lot of people in society will use the words victim mentality to stop people from speaking about their experience, to stop people from sharing their emotions and from feeling their emotions, which, you know, if one person is uncomfortable with feeling their own feelings, they're going to be uncomfortable with another person feeling their feelings in their presence as well. But I find that victim mentality is quite often used as a way to silence people who survived things, right? I believe that if somebody feels something for a few hours, for a few days, for a few months even, I don't think that's victim mentality. I think they're actually being healthy. Because if you don't feel the feelings, they're going to suppress and they're going to come up subconsciously, whether that's in continuing a cycle or aggressive behavior, yelling, outlashes, substance abuse, avoidance mechanisms. There's so many ways that this can come up when you suppress it, right? Well, when people allow themselves to feel the feeling, when they allow themselves to ask the questions, like, why is this happening to me? This is awful. They allow themselves to pity themselves just for a minute, just for a couple hours, just for a couple days. I find that people who do that actually have an exponentially greater ability to heal it after the fact. Because if you feel something, then you can heal it. You can't heal something by suppressing it, right? You can't ignore a problem into going away. We know that in the 3D world, right? We know that in our physical material world. If you look at the dishes and go, I don't want to do the dishes, and you just let them stack, they're not going to do themselves. You have to do them so that the sink is clean. But then when emotions get involved, it kind of gets complicated, but it's the same premise as if you want that problem to go away. If you want the feeling to go away, you have to confront it. You have to feel it. You have to let it come up. You have to feel bad for yourself, because feeling bad for yourself, if it's in a moment that you allow to pass after the fact, that's not victim mentality. That's not pitying yourself. It's having compassion for yourself. Seeing a person struggling and going, wow, that's really crappy. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, that's really crappy. That's not pitying somebody. That's having compassion. That's having empathy. That's sympathy. That's seeing that they're in a bad position and validating them. When you do that to yourself, you're validating yourself, which is extremely important to the healing process. You need to validate yourself to heal. In fact, I find that it's impossible to actually make large improvements on the healing process if you don't validate yourself. So yes, you should feel bad for yourself a little bit. And when you're done feeling bad for yourself, you can get up and you can keep pushing and you can go be the boss that you are, and you can push through it and heal and overcome it, and you will not crumble underneath this victim mentality. In fact, I find that people who have that victim mentality, it's usually because they suppressed feeling bad for themselves, right? They suppressed what they went through until it built up so high that it had to be felt in some way. And now they carry around this mindset that they're always a victim because they still carry the victimized feelings from 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So they felt it long term. Because again, if you don't do the dishes, they'll sit there for years. And so that's kind of my theory, is that's why they have that victim mentality, is because they've genuinely been carrying on to that pain for 10 years. And I think that if we just had a little bit more humanity for each other, and we created safe spaces for each other to feel bad for ourselves, to cry, I think that we as a human race would be able to heal a lot smoother. Like, I'm a firm believer that, like, I think that when I went through what I went through, when I overcame trauma and abuse, I did feel bad for myself. Not long term, just for a couple hours at a time, or a couple days, or in a bad period, a few months. But every time I let all those feelings come up, I cried for myself, I yelled for myself, I felt injustice. Because it was an injustice, and you should feel bad about that. What happened was awful. We as humans should feel bad for ourselves, because that's basic compassion for ourselves. And so I'd feel that, and I would drown in that feeling. I'd allow it to overtake me, and then when the feeling started to fade, I would get up, I would get back on healing, and I would carry about my business. Because I am very focused on healing. I'm very focused on growth. as are a lot of people on the healing journey. And the matter of fact is that drive to heal isn't going to be overthrown by feeling bad for ourselves. Not for 10 minutes, not for 30 minutes, not for a few months. In fact, I would actually kind of have this routine when I was first learning to feel bad for myself, where I would set a timer and I'd be like, okay, 10, 20 minutes, that's my worry time. That's my feel bad time. That's my pity myself time. And I would allow myself to feel the feelings that I didn't want to feel. I would allow myself for 10 minutes to sit down and just tell myself, like, this is awful. So many things have happened. Why does the world treat me like this? Why? All those thoughts, the ones that you push away, those why does God hate me thoughts, and why can people do this to me? All of those thoughts that you push away because maybe you don't even fully believe them, or maybe they're just uncomfortable, or whatever the reason is, those feelings that you push away, you can heal them, you can let them go, but you gotta feel them first. So, if you are somebody who has been told that feeling your feelings is a victim mentality, I'm gonna say I disagree. I think that you can feel bad for yourself for 20 minutes and then get up and heal and learn and do better and move forward. In fact, I think that's necessary to not have a victim mentality. I think it's necessary to have compassion for yourself to not have a victim mentality. But that's just my take. Love y'all.